dialogue, because that is something that could actually like help. And I know that there are a lot of issues that we want to address with the administration, but it's not that easy. I don't think that like they're super unapproachable, but I think that there are ways to make them more approachable. All right, I talked a lot. Someone else talk. Sorry.
Can I add one thing? Is that okay? So that is actually my job. So I chair the Students' Rights Committee. You're probably like, they don't do anything. So we've been working on like the START form and a lot of the issues with that. And like from somebody that has dealt with the START form, I felt like I didn't even know if my paper was being thrown in the recycling bin or if it was actually being dealt with. So right now we're working on building the bridge between the students and the people that provide the access to helping students, because I think, again, with that, a big misconception is that our counseling suite is the group of people that are actually making the changes or helping make the changes in these students' lives, when in reality that's not true. So that's just one thing that I've been working on, but I need more things. It's my job to help you guys. It's my job to support like our community and make it successful and make everyone feel safe. And Mr. Weinstein actually asked me Friday maybe, college decisions were coming out, we're going on break soon. He was like, can you do a forum this week? And I was like, probably not, like realistically. People aren't gonna come. A lot of us are submitting additional college applications. It's a very busy time. Yeah, it's a very busy time. But that's definitely something I'm looking to have in January, February, March, and so on, because something we've noticed is that no matter how hard, one person fights it, you really need to have a background, a group of people supporting you. Otherwise, you're not going to get anywhere. Yeah.
Oh yeah, one thing I just wanted to comment on, which I'm actually kind of confused by, is, Dr. Eveslog is an authority on this matter, not just because he's on the board. He was principal for 4 years, and I think he has an understanding of what goes on at Harriton. But what I fail to grasp is he should know better than anyone that this change would not be easily adopted. And really, it pains me to hear that people have been victimized as a result of, honestly, his lack of insight into how we would receive this change. As Ben mentioned, as Ben mentioned, we're teenagers. I mean, practically speaking, is very different from what will happen idealistically. And of course, inclusivity is very important, but that's very difficult to enact to people that are still growing and changing and have all these, a different array of perspectives. So I just think that, honestly, it's just irresponsible of them to wager people's safety in this name. And it hurts me to see my fellow colleagues and the students be a victim of that.
Yeah, I just want to add to him. But I kind of walk out of that meeting confused. I kind of figured this worked like lots of these issues, worked its all the way up to the board, and the board had some discussion. So walking out of this meeting, much as I love Mr. Eveslog, it sounds like Dr. Eveslog, it's a one man's kind of decision. I'm really unsure why we're being ruled by one person. If that is the case, there's not enough transparency as to who's making these decisions, where this conversation is going, and why, if it's true that there's one person implementing this entire policy. And should we kind of stand up to that, because doesn't really make sense that.
One thing I want to mention is, how many of those board members in there do you think have seen a show? Maybe Mixed Eveslog, any of them, but honestly, a few of them have, but I doubt that most of them know that women are an avid role in the show. Like, partners exist. There's tons of women that help out with the planning. Of course, last year Emma was an MC. This year Lauren and Valentina will be our MCs. It's not like there's no female representation in this show at all.
I will say that one of the things that Eveslog mentioned. One of the things that Eveslog mentioned in there was that they've had problems in the past, and I just thought I would explain what that was. I think it was 2015. It was either my freshman or sophomore year. So no one here was.
It was your sophomore year.
It was my sophomore year.
No, wait, it was 2015.
I think it was 2015. I remember because I wrote it for the banner.
Yeah.
I remember that was the year when there was the problem.
Oh, the escorts?
It was, they used to call partners escorts. And that was a problem, and that was that problem that.
That's a legitimate problem.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
addressed.
And
I'm just saying that's the problem.
So you are correct.
As another note, just because I'm talking, so I've now been following what's going on in Harriton now for, 5-6 years. I've never seen anything like this, a dialogue like this just with students, and I just thought this is this is remarkable. That's what I thought this is. I wish that administrators could have also been here and been part of this. I just thought this was really interesting.
I think,
Do you understand you will likely not negotiate yourself into a position where they will take greater consideration and move faster and further on the issues that each of you find important beyond the name? Rosa Parks, when she sat in the wrong seat on the bus that day, wasn't doing it for a seat on the bus. She was doing it for larger issues of access, equality, economic rights, and a bunch of other things. She was willing to sacrifice everything, and she didn't choose to move up one row in the bus by compromising to become Mr. to Mix or Mexico or whatever this is. She moved all the way up to the front of the bus, and she sat there knowing that this was going to be a sacrifice that was going to have a personal consequence for greater things. So you have to decide. You only have two scenarios to play. Either you change the name to whatever they want and get over it, or, this is my talking, change it to whatever they want because you've already suggested a number and they reject them outright, giving you no guidance, or put your foot in the ground and don't change it. Live with the consequences. Either don't have a show and let that be the media circus who brings attention to your larger issues.
we can't do that one though.
No.
They've already learned too
Sir,
much.
I'm
the chair.
sure you're, you have
All right,
great,
but then you have a clear path.
Wait,
I'm
Wait,
sure
wait.
you have great intentions, but to give you a quick fact check, Rosa Parks was a staged event by the NAACP. There was already a woman who sat on the bus before, but the question that I really want to develop on is the stagnation of movement with any administrative problem. I understand that everyone at Harriton has different opinions and different views, but I think we need to establish a culture where if your views are regressive in a way that disadvantages and doesn't recognize people and personhood and humanities and other people who aren't like you, then that needs to be evolved. Like, we can't continue arguing with people who don't even think that you're a real person. Like, that's not a conversation.
Speaking of how people don't think that other people are real, mix is a real thing, but how they told the school about it was just the wrong way, because now everybody is making fun of it and they don't think it's ever a real thing, but it's a real thing. We just don't have any gender nonconforming teachers at our school that use it, and nobody knows about it, but it's a real thing that people should have the opportunity to use, but because of the narrative of the show, it doesn't need to be used in this instance. But that prefix, or however you say it, should be respected, and you should know about it, because people in your lives are going to use it. So, like, keep your memes to, like, a respective place, please.
because part of the issue is people creating this animosity between a bunch of people.
In fact, it's the mystery of the administration's delivery of the prefix mix, and without any explanation or education on it, that even more, I felt more transphobia about the name change when they changed it than like ever before.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Now all of a sudden,
big
like,
move.
Like, it's so true.
I think people are starting to head out, so I think.
I just have a question I'd like to ask. So people have cited transphobia and other, obviously unacceptable things in regards to this change. The administration's response to that, and I can't speak for them, but likely will be, well, let's hear about those issues individually and address them on an individual basis. Can anyone respond directly to that point?
we're not individual people. We're a whole group, and all of our voices need to be heard. We don't need one person to have a meeting with you, to have a meeting with someone else, to get a letter to send to this and a mission over there. We need people in groups, in numbers, just like they have their big bad guys in that board over there that make them so intimidating and make so many people deterred from talking to them. Like, I guarantee that if people were actually comprehensive at the fact that they're just like people, you and I, without the titles, they could just talk to them plainly and simply.
I think As I said, people are starting to leave, so I think we should wrap it up. This is definitely not the end of the discussion. I think one of the only important things that came out of Evaslog's response that I found anywhere near acceptable was the
By
fact
the
that
way,
he said,
It's the same email that he sent me. He kind of read through it.
really?
So, yeah.
Okay.
But it's good. He's consistent. He has a consistent response, which is good. But
Fair
it
enough.
was actually
However,
exactly.
with that being said,
1 by 1.
he has said that he is still open to discussion. Now, I don't know whether or not that is the discussion that administration has had with students, as in, this is not a discussion, we're doing it, and it's great for you. But I think that every single one of us here, if you care about it, tell all your friends. We send him an email, say, I want to talk to you about it. I mean, we do have the right to express our opinions here, guys.
You do, it is in the policy. I
Yeah.
read every single one of them. This also
Hey.
should have been handled in 10 business days, and we're 4 years late. That's for another time.
Yeah, I think that it is absolutely important that this discussion doesn't stop tonight, as I said before. Talk with your friends about it, because the more people that we have focused on this issue, I mean, we had like 20 students here tonight. There were so many more who couldn't be here just because it's not during school hours, because they had other things to do. But the more people that we get involved in this issue, and the more people that we get fired up, like we're all fired up tonight, there will come a time where they will have to see that there is so much more to us than just a couple students standing in some boardroom talking about this issue that they claim they have perfect understanding of. And I think that we, can't stop now. We shouldn't stop now. I think that if someone wants to set up email group, Facebook group, any of those things, I mean, I have the Students United page, which, in case you haven't noticed, it's not Students United for Mr. Harriton, that is Students United, period, because that will be used for every issue henceforth in our school that is applicable to multiple students that we actually care about. Yes, it is.
And I just want to say, the meeting's coming to a close in there. Board members are here.
We are very far from your.
No.
Never mind.
Well, anyways, my point is, if any of you guys are willing to stay till the end, board members are available. You're allowed to talk to them for a few minutes. So
If they say,
appeases to you, then.
Um,
No, they don't put time.
And I don't even, the GSIB, it's gender, whatever. It's
GSF.
The task force on inclusivity
Oh,
has a
task
meeting tomorrow from 4 to 5:45, just so you know. So you're welcome to attend. Oh, I want to say 264 here. What?
Somewhere the district.
4 to 5:45, I believe. It's on the district calendar.
Too bad we have GSA.
But
But-
a lot of school activities.
I know. Yes. Dr. It's on the school calendar.
I think we can dismiss ourselves here.
As a clarifying point, the Philadelphia Inquirer is covering the story in addition to CBS 3. They are broadcasting live right now, in fact.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
So, if there are any questions for, real fast, I would encourage people. Ms. Buckman is able to speak as a representative of the district. I don't want to put her on the spot, but yeah, she is able to speak as a representative of the district, and she is a good resource to email.
No.
Come on, guys.
Where's Ryan?
No, I think I will leave you guys.
We do equality.
Mr. Harriton.
Mr. Ryan, all those favors?
Great.
Mr. Harriton!
They heard
I
that.
will leave you with this, guys. In the wise words of Lin-Manuel Miranda, tomorrow there will be more of us.